Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why recalls in Michigan will not actually work until the current Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, is removed from office first. So, for those that don't know, obviously, a couple years ago on this channel, I actually did a story about Jocelyn Benson along with Gretchen Whitmer and Dana Nissel being the trio of witches there in Michigan. And honestly, I would not be surprised in the least if these three fucking cunts actually were a legit coven of witches at this point, dude. It makes so much sense that they are actually, if that be the case. But basically, I did an Oathbreakers episode about them a couple years back now. It's somewhere on the channel. I'm not sure if it's behind the wall or not now at this point. I had to do my cleanup a couple years back now is what it is and stuff. But anyways, so basically Jocelyn Benson, who is, grab a picture up real quick here, is this crazy looking biatch right here. You know, psychotic blonde from there in Michigan. She basically, you had multiple recalls against Gretchen Whitmer in the past two election cycles, basically, where you had, after 2020, you had Whitmer being recalled and stuff like that. I believe it was around it was the end of 2020, early 2021, one of the two, for all the tyrannical bullshit she was doing there in Michigan is what it is. Which, by the way, the fucked up part is, Whitmer has now freely admitted to the tyranny that she's committed as a sitting governor there in Michigan, and yet still has not been removed from office at this point, dude. And why is that? Because Jocelyn Benson, not only once, but at least twice, possibly even a third time for that matter, because I haven't checked in a while, but at least two times, refused to actually accept the recall petitions that were made against Whitmer, even though the people that were doing the recall petitions had way more than enough signatures for a recall election against Gretchen Whitmer. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a dereliction of duty. When you are completely derelict of your duties as Secretary of State, you should not even be sitting in that position anymore, because you should be in fucking handcuffs, being arrested, and being hauled off to Michigan State Prison right now. And that's the problem currently. So yeah, you can sit, like, the thing about Michigan is they have recall abilities and stuff like that. Do they have recall voting and stuff? It don't work when your Secretary of State refuses to do recalls, dude. It does not work until the Michigan fucking police, the sheriffs, deputies, the sheriffs themselves, the actual state police, whatever the case be, get off their fucking lazy, worthless, oath-breaking asses and actually keep their damn oaths to office and start arresting these criminal-ass politicians is what it is, dude. So yeah, you can do recalls as much as you want, people. If the Secretary of State, who is a fucking criminal at this point, who it can easily be proven that her and Whitmer and Nissel, etc., dude, all cheated their way back into office in 2022 midterms, along with the reason why they have, like, that one vote fucking Democrat in both chambers now, because you had a bunch of moms and man action and Giffords types be fucking bribed into office is what it was, dude. And that's the entire problem right now. When you have people literally stealing election cycles in this country through massive voter fraud and everything else for that matter, nothing's going to change until you actually remove the people from office, dude, by force, in handcuffs, etc., for the various crimes they're committing, the various deprivation rights of law they're committing and stuff like that. That's why, honestly, when it comes to Michigan right now, dude, it's probably going to have to be court battles, because even if they try to recall any of these Democrats out of office right now, it ain't even going to work, because you're just going to have fucking Benson, as Secretary of State, sitting there being like, oh no, sorry, we're not taking any recalls. It's like, no, bitch, you were derelict of your duty. You were gone from here. And now we're going to replace your ass first as Secretary of State there in a primary bid is what it'll be, through recall voting. And then from there, that's how you actually do a good recall is what it'd be then. Because you have to have the new Secretary of State after the fact, which will most likely be a Republican person, actually get in there and start accepting these recalls against other Democrats is what it is, dude. And that's how you take back your chamber, Michigan. It's as simple as that, honestly. And that's the thing. You know, I'm not a Michigan voter. I'm an Ohio voter. I live in Ohio. I don't want to see my Michigan brothers get fucked like that, dude. Or my sisters, for that matter, over there in Michigan, getting their fucking gun rights stripped from them and stuff like that through a bunch of unconstitutional tyranny, dude. A bunch of unconstitutional tyranny by a bunch of oath-breaking fucking tyrants is what it is, dude. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. You have people, and obviously you have Whitmer now admitting that she's probably going to try to run for the presidency here pretty soon. And it's like, yeah, gee, why am I not surprised that fucking Hitler's granddaughter is going to try to run for the presidency at this point? Now, granted, I actually have no proof that Whitmer is directly related to Adolf Hitler. It wouldn't fucking surprise if she was, though, honestly, dude. I mean, for God's sakes, look at the shit she pulled in Michigan for the past 3 years at this point, dude. You know, with the unconstitutional lockdown stuff, with the fucking basically destroying that entire state while sitting there fucking around herself and having her husband do stupid bullshit. I mean, hell, her husband literally went, it was right after the lockdown sort of eased a little bit. And you had a bunch of people up there in the Upper Peninsula area and stuff like that trying to do boating stuff. And this dumbass is like, don't you know who I am? I'm the husband of the governor. I should be able to cut the line with my boat. And people were like, fuck you, dude. Get to the back of the line, you bitch. And they bravely threw his ass to the back of the line is what it was. And they really should have just thrown him out the entire spot is what it would have been, dude. They should have run their asses out of town on the fucking rails at that point, dude. Honestly, is what it is. You know? And that's the truth of the matter at the end of the day, dude. Like, honestly, this is why I think we're going to have to come to civil war at this point in this country's history pretty soon, dude. Because we're like, I would like to say slowly, but it's not even slowly anymore. It's like we're fastly approaching that breaking point, that singularity moment in this country's history where it's like do or die, basically. It's either take back the country by force from these fucking criminals, or we have no country left, is what it is. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize how close we are anymore, dude. Now, granted, when I say take back by force, I want to be very, very clear about what I mean by that. And that is take back the country legally by force through various arrests, through various criminal prosecutions of criminals, of tyrants, of oath breakers, of people who have literally stolen election cycles in this country is what I'm talking about. You know, charge them with high treason, charge them with deprivation of court of law, charge them with, you know, theft of elections, et cetera, dude. Massive voter fraud, all these charges is what it is, dude. And that's how you take back this country easily without a shot of being fired, honestly. You know, personally, for me, I would love to see all those people behind bars right now, dude. Because it's where they belong. They belong in a prison cell, slowly rotting away for decades of their life, is what it is, dude. And if that's what we would get, if that would be the end game, dude, perfect. You know, I would be perfectly fine with that. Unfortunately, there are some individuals out there that are like, you know, they would take it too far, is what it would be. They'd be like, no, they've done too much. We need blood, basically, is what it would be. And, you know, I'm not down for that, is what it is, man. I want to be very clear on that one. But, yeah, I don't blame them for thinking in that manner and stuff like that, dude, because, again, with what these people have done to our country, to our states, etc., you know, it's justifiable to think that way, honestly, at this point in history. Now, granted, like I said, for me personally, I just want to see them behind bars. I just want to see people finally do their jobs, finally step up as the law enforcement officers of this country, and start arresting these damn oathbreakers, what it is, dude. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking from these people, dude. Do the job that you were hired to do and arrest these criminal politicians. It's as simple as that, really. And if that means you have to arrest a current sitting Secretary of State who wants to let cheated her way back into office and Jocelyn Benson there in Michigan, then fucking do it. Same thing with Whitmer, same thing with Nissel, same thing with Garland Gilchrist, same thing with all these motherfuckers, dude. And then audit the fucking elections after the fact is what it is, dude. Prove that they cheated. Charge them with all kinds of crimes then. And it would be as simple as that, really. But yeah, I think until, unfortunately, you actually have Benson removed from the Secretary of State's office, nothing's going to change. You can do as many recalls as you want against various Democrats in Michigan. She's not going to accept them. She's going to completely continue to dereliction of her duties. And until she's removed, nothing's going to change. You're probably going to have to take this to court battles is what's going to happen. That being said, where do we need to focus on these court battles now? You need to focus where everything is right now. State orgs, fund them. Federal orgs, fund them. When I say those, I mean obviously pro-gun orgs, whether it be, you know, your statewide orgs like your Great Lakes Gunners, people like that, or whether it be federal versions, Firearms Policy Coalition's probably the best one right now because they're the ones actually filing a lot of these suits. Or Guns of America is another great one because they're also willing to file a bunch of suits. That's what it is. And as of today, at some point, I believe we have 5 or 6 going through. I believe it's New York's circuit courts and stuff like that for various anti-Bruin laws that have gone through there with that bitch Kathy Uncle. And she's going to get smacked down, is what it is, because it's all unconstitutional. And this is the problem when you have law enforcement in these states continuing to be derelict of their duties, is what it is, dude, because they're allowing for these criminal politicians to go out there and even submit this legislation to potentially become laws, what it is, dude. Because honestly, this is the truth of the matter at the end of the day, man. The second that anybody, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, Independent, etc., the second any person in a position of power in a general assembly, whether it be at a state level or whether it be at a federal level, when they introduce a piece of anti-gun legislation, they should immediately be arrested for various deprivation of rights of law charges. Because they are attempting to deprive American citizens, either at a state level or federally, of our right to keep and bear arms in this country. And they are directly breaking their oath of office at the same time that they took to the U.S. Constitution to uphold the Second Amendment. And that is exactly why I am disgusted and I am fucking sickened to my core every single time I see these fucking people get off with a slap on the wrist. And when I say slap on the wrist, I mean they get away with everything, dude. They get nothing. They have nothing happening against them. When they should be smacked the fuck down, in handcuffs, on the ground, fucking cops knee in their back and shit like that, before they're hauled off and perp walked out of there is what it is. Because that's what needs to happen right now, dude. You need to have actual law enforcement step up for once in this country's history and do their fucking job. Interestingly enough, I think the reason that most of them won't is because when you start looking at these pieces of legislation that are being pushed through, who is exempt from this shit? It's always police and military. And why is that? Because they know for a fact that when the oath-breaking bullshit happens, when the red flag garbage gets pushed through, when the universal background check garbage gets pushed through, etc., who is going to be their tyrant enforcing arm? It's going to be the law enforcement of this country is what it'll be. And that's what they want. They want those people to kick your door in at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, and risk their lives in the stack and potentially have them go in and kill you for your legally owned firearms because you refuse to obey bullshit unconstitutional tyrannical laws is what it is, dude. Which in of themselves are unconstitutional to begin with. I shouldn't even say laws, I should say legislation. That's what it really is in the day. It's not even law, dude, because it can't become law because it's unconstitutional to begin with. And that's the problem right now. You know, we were talking about this a little bit on Honda's chat last night about the whole Bruin ruling and how the issue becomes you have the Supreme Court making these rulings, but there's no actual arm to enforce. You know, there's no police force or whatever the case be for the Supreme Court that can be like, no, you're directly breaking this stuff. You're going to jail now is what it is. And that's the problem. It's basically, it's kind of like, honestly, the best way to discuss this whole thing would be sort of like the old analogy of you put money on a countertop and you just have it sit there for, you know, X amount of time, whatever, in a store. So you have people basically go on an honor system is what it is. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to take this cash because there's probably cameras watching me or whatever the case, but they're going to see me take it kind of thing. So, you know, if you're taking something, if you're walking to grab something, whatever the case be, like a paper or, you know, snack or whatever the case be, you just throw some money on the counter is what it is then, and you walk out. And that's usually what it is in most honest societies is what it is, dude. The problem is, again, it goes back to having to be honest and be respectful and stuff like that of the rule of law. And that's the problem right now. You have so many of these people that are in office currently, whether it be your Whitmer types or your, you know, here to state level, your Weinstein types, etc., who are nothing more than a bunch of oath-breaking sacks of shit is what it is, dude. And so what happens is they will sit there and they will see a court ruling from the highest court in the land and be like, okay, how can we get around this? And be a complete oath-breaking piece of shit is what it is, dude. And that's what they do. That's what they're crafting this legislation. And it's not only just Michigan, dude. You're seeing it everywhere across this country. You saw it in Colorado here recently in the last couple of weeks. We're seeing it over in Maryland in the past week or so, where they're literally talking about like, oh, you want to take your fire, you want to have a legally possessed firearm under an actual CCW? Well, now we're going to make pretty much every place you go into a sensitive area completely, again, infringing on the Bruin ruling specifically, which was the whole point of the whole, New York Pistol and Rifle Association versus Bruin that created the ruling to begin with is what it was, dude, is you had it be just that. It was like, hey, what the hell's the point of having a concealed carry license here in the state of New York if we're not going to be able to take our fucking guns out of our house is what it is. And that's pretty much what Maryland's trying to do now. It's like they're trying to do the opposite of that, where it's like, oh, well, now we're going to stop you from being able to walk out of your house without being basically advertising that you're carrying a firearm at all times to every place you go is what it is. And it's like, oh, if you want to go into somebody else's house, you basically have to announce you're carrying a gun, and they might allow you in or not, and they have the ability to like allow you in or not. It's basically what it is. It's like, fuck that, dude. No. If I'm going to a fucking buddy's house, or whatever the case be, dude, the last thing I'm going to tell them is if I'm carrying or not. That's fucking retarded. But why would you make yourself an open target like that? Oh yeah, that's right, you wouldn't, unless you're an oath-breaking sack of fucking dog shit, like the dickless motherfucker there in. Or wait, was it Maryland? I want to say it's Maryland. I think, I think Maryland did it too. The guy I'm thinking of, though, the one that I saw on Twitter the other day, was actually New Jersey's current fucking AG or whatever, or Secretary of State, one of those two. I forget which one it was. But basically, yeah, it's like some dude from New Jersey, and it's like, New Jersey's doing the same thing as what I'm talking about, though. So yeah, it's like Maryland and New Jersey are both trying to do the same bullshit as what it is, dude. And that's the thing, dude. You have all these unconstitutional states like that are basically the 7 states of hell, more or less, when it comes to being the most infringing pieces of shit on the Second Amendment. And then you wonder how they're able to get away with this. And again, it goes back to lazy law enforcement in this country, dude. It goes back to police, sheriff's deputies, sheriffs, etc., refusing to do their job and actually arrest these damn oathbreakers is what it is, dude. Like, seriously, all it would take one shot, dude. It would take one state, one single state to step the fuck up, cops in that one state to step up and finally enforce the actual shit going on and enforce the Pro 2A rulings in these states against these anti-gunners and arrest their asses out of office, and it would spread like fucking wildfire. Because you'd see sheriffs, deputies, etc., in other states finally stepping up and doing the same thing. Because even going back, 3-4 months now, even longer than that, to Illinois and stuff like that, when Pritzker and the company there passed all the AWB crap there, dude. And you specifically had dozens of county sheriffs come out and be like, we're not enforcing this shit. Go one step further. Don't say you're not going to enforce it, dude. Fucking arrest J.B. Pritzker. Arrest the Democrats in the Illinois General Assembly that pushed the shit through for the crimes they've committed, for the deprivation of rights code of law they've committed, for the oath breaking they've committed, for every misdemeanor they are actually committing right now. Because that's how it changes, dude. One fail swoop, arrest a few dozen, and it fucking turns the shit on its head. And it shows these anti-gun fucksticks once and for all that they can't fuck with our constitutional rights anymore, dude. Without risk or fear of being arrested for the crimes they are committing right now. And that's what it needs to be. And again, this is how we take this country back in our own modern revolution without a shot being fired. But this is the problem, because you have these fucking bullshit ass cops who refuse to do their job, who refuse to arrest the oath breaking fucking tyrants. And then what does that leave the American people with? Well, I guess we're going to sue. Oh, wait, we lost the lawsuit because some fucking corrupt ass judge is in office now? Oh, we're out of money now? Okay, I guess it's 1776 2.0, them motherfuckers. Like, that's pretty much the pathway they're putting us to right now, dude. They're putting us on a direct pathway to where it's going to have to be violence at some point. I don't want to see that. I don't want it to come to that. Step the fuck up, law enforcement, and do your jobs and start arresting criminal politicians now so it doesn't get to that point in history. So there's not massive bloodshed in the fucking streets. Because if there is, it's on your fucking hands, dude. It will be on you people's fucking hands at this point, dude. If and when that shit happens. Because we all understand from that perspective of exactly where the end game ends. And if you don't stop it before that end game, or if you don't create a new end game of mass arrests of oath-breaking criminal politicians, everything's on the fucking table then, dude. And it's sad to have to say that, honestly, but that's the truth of the matter. And unfortunately, with the way things are going, I believe that's what they want, honestly, dude. I think that's what they all want. I think they all want us to come to violence at this point. I am not for war. I am not for violence. I'm going to say that right now, dude. Don't put me personally in that kind of a situation to make that choice. Do your jobs as the officers you were hired to be and the laws that you were hired to enforce, to where no one is above the law, especially not some fucking scumbag, cumbag, fucking piece of shit sitting governor, sitting state rep, sitting state senator, etc., dude. No one is above the law. Every single yes vote in the Michigan State Senate that's on any of these gun bills should be arrested on the fucking spot right now, dude. Anybody in the Michigan State House this coming week and the next couple days that would vote yes on this shit should be arrested on the spot and charged criminally. Gretchen Whitmer, currently as Michigan's governor, which she's a cheater, like I said before, should already be arrested out of the governor's office, dude. Jocelyn Benson should already be arrested out of the Secretary of State's office. Dana Nissel should be arrested out of the Attorney General's office, etc., down the fucking line. But that's the problem. None of these cops want to step up and do their job, dude. Because the real problem comes down to being, it's that whole fucking brothers in blue bullshit that they always want to talk about, where it's basically you have one step out of line and actually do their job as an oath keeper, and what happens? The rest of them fucking turn their backs on that person. They don't follow suit is what it is, dude, in most cases. Because that's the thing about most cops in this country, dude. They are the biggest gang of scumbags in our entire nation right now, dude. They commit more fucking crimes every shift that they have as a law enforcement officer in this country than they actually do to enforce, dude. And I'm not going to sit here and say every single cop is a bad person or every single cop is an oath-breaking piece of shit or whatever the case be. But the problem is there are so many that are, and the ones who actually are decent will say nothing or do nothing to actually stop them is what it is. And that's the biggest problem right now. So yeah, I definitely think we're heading towards bad times ahead right now. Like I said, hopefully recalls can work, but again, it would be Michigan having to get rid of Benson first as Secretary of State, dude. They would have to basically somehow recall her out of office or force her hand somehow to be arrested, whatever the case be, for various dereliction of duty charges and stuff like that, before they could actually have a real recalls, is what it would be then against everybody else. Because until Benson is gone, nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same old status quo bullshit in Michigan. And you're going to keep having stolen elections. You're going to keep having fucking all kinds of chicanery, etc., dude. And it's bullshit, dude. It's absolute fucking garbage is what it is, dude. So, I don't know. It's very infuriating just because I have so many friends that live in Michigan. And just watching their state just fall like this is disgusting, man. And it's like going back about 3.5 years ago almost now. It's pretty much exactly what happened here in Ohio, dude. They tried the same exact fucking bullshit here. But what did we have? We actually had supermajority Republicans in power at the time, so they couldn't do nothing. And thank fuck for that one, dude, because we might be Michigan right now, honestly. If Democrats had their way, here's what it would be. And that's the problem right now. You have the first time in over 40 years now in Michigan to where Democrats control the trifecta because of massive voter fraud. Governorship, state senate, state house. Barely margins, dude. They still, I think if I'm not mistaken, even to get the shit through their state house, they have to have one rhino basically flip right now to even get the votes to put it to Whitmer's desk at this point. And that's the problem right now, dude, is you've had so many sack of shit rhinos in the Michigan General Assembly over the past, 2-3 election cycles now, specifically, that there was one guy, and I forget what his name was offhand, but he was either the Senate president at the time in the last General Assembly there, or it was, I'm trying to think what the main committee would be there. It's like one of like the House Oversight Committee things or whatever there in Michigan. This dude refused to even take Pro-2A legislation through the Michigan General Assembly and basically held it hostage, Shane Wilkin style, in the Michigan General Assembly, dude. For those who don't know who Shane Wilkin is, he was a ex-state rep here in Ohio, and he's now a state senator in the state of Ohio. But yeah, he basically held up our constitutional carry here for almost a year, is what it was. Because he's a douchebag and he's a fucking rhino sack of shit, is what it is, dude. And that's the exact same with that guy in Michigan. You had that motherfucker hold up their shit in committee, refuse to take it to votes and stuff like that. And it's why they're not a constitutional carry state right now. It's why they've passed no Pro-2A legislation for decades now in Michigan, is because you've had scumbag rhino-ass motherfuckers like that in power there. And that's the biggest issue right now, is it goes back to that whole like uni-party bullshit where it's like two parties and then it becomes like, jerking off fucking single parties, what it is, dude. And that's the one thing. This is the one thing, and I'll give it to them, man. And I'll keep saying this honestly on this channel. I'll give it to Democrats, dude. They don't care if shit is constitutional or not. The second that they take power, if they tell you they're going to ram through some bullshit agenda, they're going to fucking do it, man. They will go full bore ahead, straight off a fucking cliff to communism. Meanwhile, Republicans, the GOP, etc., are so fucking spineless and so bought and paid for, they don't do fucking nothing to protect our rights, dude. Maybe state levels, maybe, and even then, you still have rhino assholes who are career politicians, that is what it is, dude. But yeah, for the most part, it takes very, very hard work. I can tell you that firsthand, dude. 4 years almost of hard work for me personally. I spent over 1.5 years of my life to be on these people's fucking asses here in Ohio, dude, to get constitutional carry passed here. Daily calls, dozens of calls a fucking day, dude. When are you guys taking this to floor votes? When are you guys taking this to committee votes? When are you guys doing your job? Holding their feet to the fire. Going to the other side of the chamber. When are you guys getting off your asses? When is this going to committee hearings? When is this going to floor votes? Do your job. Vote yes on this. Because that's what it is, dude. These people, I don't care what state it is, dude. The second they take office, become some of the laziest motherfuckers I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. They are lazy as fucking hell, dude. Unless they want to push an agenda that suits their bullshit narrative. And then they'll be full steam ahead as fast as possible. And that's the one thing, again, going back to the Democrats, dude. That's one thing I will give them. They will always push agendas, and they will do it so quickly that you have no time to react, is what it is. It might take them 10, 15, 20 years to set the shit up, dude, but the second they can, bang, bang, boom, it's fucking done. And that's exactly what we're seeing there in Michigan right now, dude. It's exactly what we saw in Colorado about 2 weeks ago or so, where you had them 17, 18-hour fucking session, Republican, minority there was trying to filibuster the shit down. And these fucking dumbass Democrats are like, nope, we stole the votes. Fuck you. And they ram through all their bullshit there, dude. Even though it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing, dude. And that's the problem. And when you have these worthless gun orgs, like Rocky Mountain Gunners, there is what it is, dude, that do nothing at a state level to do anything to actually, fight back against the tyranny there. What the fuck's the point? And then you got people like FPC and GOA and stuff like that completely abandoned Colorado entirely because it's been such a Democrat stronghold now is what it is. And it's like, dude, if you don't fight back against this shit, the encroachment, the infringement, etc., everywhere, they're going to allow them to take it everywhere. It is what it is. And again, when you look at the shit in Colorado or the shit in Michigan for that matter, it is complete infringements on both Brewer. Sorry, not Brewer. Yeah, I basically combined them both together, Bruin and Heller together. There, yeah. It breaks both Bruin and Heller decisions is what it is, dude. So you have two pieces of Supreme Court legislation right now that directly back up the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of shall not being infringed upon with actual modern day rulings, and yet these fuckers keep denying them, dude. They keep infringing upon it. And this is how we get to 1776 in this country. Because you push people so fucking far to where finally they're like, no, you're not pushing us any further, fuckers. And that's exactly where we're at right now, dude. And that's why, honestly, I believe in my lifetime right now, we will see a new set of founding fathers in this country. And it will be everyday men and women stepping up and becoming the new founding fathers and new founding mothers of America right now. Because they're finally going to have enough, dude. They're finally going to have enough and not take it anymore. And it's going to be those individuals, those groups of people that will be the most patriotic and constitutional folks in this nation's history after everything's said and done. I would love to say I could be on that list right now. I don't know that I will, honestly. Because honestly, the way things are going, I don't know if I'll survive the fall is what it is. I don't think any of us know that for a matter, dude. And that's exactly why I don't want to go there is what it is. Because I don't want to be in a situation where we are basically in a grid down situation and I'm having to fight for survival from all sides. And I think far too many people don't realize that's where we're heading right now. And again, this could easily be stopped in its fucking tracks right now if current law enforcement throughout America would simply do their fucking jobs and arrest criminal politicians. And it would be as simple as that, honestly. So, anyway, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I'll be back for another one later on. I'm not sure exactly what the topic will be for the day yet. It might be the other ones I'm thinking about doing with Jill Stein and stuff like that, but it's hard to say right now. I'm kind of tired. I'm debating about taking a nap before I got to go do some stuff later. So, anyway, needless to say, yeah, we're definitely heading for bad times ahead right now. And I think it's only a matter of time before things finally spark off, dude. I've talked about it on this channel before, about probably a year or two ago now, where I said how close I think we are towards the Civil War or Revolution moment, basically. And I believe that we are a hell of a lot closer than that now. Analogy time on that one, real quick before we leave today. The guys are loading up barrels of gunpowder in a storage room. Dude's over in the corner smoking on his big old cigar. A big old fucking ash from the cigar goes flying off. Flying through the air. Coming down right towards the powder in the powder kegs. That's where we're at right now in this country's history, I believe. It's hit the powder. It's starting to sizzle towards the kegs. And it's only a matter of time before it's going to finally make its way all the way through that trail and actually hit the big old keg and go. And I believe, honestly, with the way things are going currently, even these court battles are just stopgaps, dude. You know, unless it was somebody running up there and maybe we'll get the court win or whatever the case be, and they just kick, you know, the powder behind the lit piece or whatever, and it just fizzles out into that last little bit of powder or whatever, then maybe that'll be the end of it. But honestly, who's to say there's not going to be something jumping, and then it starts up a new fucking fire is what it would be then, and a new, you know, gunpowder trail and stuff like that. So, I don't know, man. I believe, honestly, though, we're definitely heading towards bad times ahead, and you need to fight. You need to fight back against these people, dude. Hit them with the lawsuits. If you can recall. Like I said, for Michigan people out there, your Michiganders and stuff like that, dude, you got to do it as a two-stage process. Remove Jocelyn Benson from Secretary of State's office first, through a recall or in handcuffs or whatever the case be. And then from there, when you have a new Secretary of State that'll actually accept recall petitions and stuff like that, that is when you start recalling other Democrats then. Because until that point, Benson's not going to do her job. She's going to be derelict of her duty continuously again and again and again. And nothing will change as long as she is sitting in that position of power currently. So you have to remove her first before any other recalls can happen. Other than that, sue the fuck out of these people. If you're nationwide orgs and you got the money to do it, man, start suing individual lawmakers, seriously. Start taking Whitmer to task. Start taking Benson to task. Start taking Nissel to task. Start suing every Michigan state senator that voted yes on universal background checks, red flag laws, gun storage, etc., dude. Because it's all a bunch of tyrant fucking cunts that have no business being in office right now because they should be in a pair of handcuffs, hauled off to a Michigan prison cell for the rest of their lives. And it's as simple as that. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.